they have been close friends since their time at Sorbonne University, then they both chose to major in archaeology. Jibindu, Nepali, Robinson, American. In their youth, both were passionate about their dry and hard work. The couple's footprints have trampled across historical sites on both banks of the Nile River, the Ganges River, Central Asia, the Silk Road and even South America. They belong to two different cultures. Jibindu loves the towering icy mountains as if he wants to compete with heaven and earth, love the Yark buffalo herds wandering on the grasslands, love pristine nature that has not been shaped or improved by human hands, love the small winding trail with the idyllic thatched roofs and the green, peaceful kitchen smoke, love the innocent, carefree songs and songs of girls from the fields and quiet countryside. Robinson is different. He loves state-of-the-art research laboratories full of modern scientific instruments, love cool, shiny, rich supermarkets that meet all the essential needs of life, love spacious boulevards, skyscrapers and clean, beautiful, flat and straight garden plans, love the comforts of food, accommodation, and clothing, insurance and safety and health, banking, life. It's unclear what the cause or thought was. Suddenly, Jibindu abandoned his family and friends, abandoned his career halfway, abandoned the city and the research lab and disappeared for many years in the majestic mountains of Himalayas. And Robinson is still immersed, passionately decoding ancient civilizations through traces of artifacts and historical sites anywhere in the world. Now that passion is gone, he is very tired. The other day, surprisingly, Robinson received a letter from Jibindu given by an American tourist, who was his former student, after returning from a pilgrimage from Nepal and Tibet. Jibindu's letter has the following content: from the Nepal border, following the dangerous and craggy road to Tibet, about 300 kilometers, traveling by buffalo-drawn cart, you will encounter a poetic mountain. In the jade-colored dream, there is a giant tree with red leaves about 2,000 years old standing proudly alone. From there, about a few kilometers west, you will see a stream. You just keep going upstream. Look at the long continuous cliffs, where the smooth surfaces are, where there are characters belonging to the ancient Prakrit language family. You go deep into some cave. There I am, enjoying the happiness of my ancient civilization. Come here, after spring. When the snow has melted, I will give you a priceless painting harvested from this backward country. Holding the yellowed and crumpled letter in his hand, Robinson wondered with many questions. Was Jibindu already a monk? And why a painting? What is the symbolic meaning of this strange friend giving such a riddle? Does it have anything to do with our current insecurity and countless pressing questions? Oh, it's been a long time, that Asian friend. He has deep eyes of myths, philosophical questions, metaphysical questions and spiritual extremes when looking at culture. Modern Western civilization, which he considered too superficial and too young. He literally said, a teenager's knowledge is not yet mature. They argued with each other many times. And every time it's deadlocked, on the same path. For example, Jibindu said, your civilization has gone backwards more than 2,000 years since the time of Aristotle. That is the path of wise reason but not wisdom at all. It's a roadmap of madness and destruction, are not. Every civilization is the inheritance of scientific achievements. It is the gray matter as thick as glue, the ascetic gestation of brain cells, the transmission of the pinnacle of human intelligence over many millennia. The main cause of poverty, backwardness, of your East is due to complacency, due to turning away from science and also due to disregard for material things. A stubborn and strange type of spiritual complacency. Jibindu laughed loudly. Complacency is right, because your modern civilization has an internal driving force of desire and possessive ego. This is primitive consciousness, close to instinct, representing a type of person who is not very spiritually evolved. Robinson also laughed. Mocked again, poverty, destitution, darkness and disease, are the reality of the spiritual civilization of evolved humans. Jibindu retaliated, war, hatred, terrorism, insecurity, earthquakes and floods. Insecurity between moral values, conflict between doctrines and confusion between ideologies. All of these situations lead to unhappiness, suffering and ruin. That is the result. Due to the superior material civilization that you have donated to humanity. Robinson sneered, because we are superior, we have a luxurious life, rich in overwhelming material comforts. As for you, you get mountains and forests, pristine steppes, hamlets, houses that are dark with cockroaches, rats, mosquitoes. Everywhere I go I see feces and garbage, stagnant puddles of water, so much so that there is not even a minimum sanitation facility. That is not living, it is a life, but just a way to survive, of prehistoric tribes when they were still hunters and gatherers. That's right, that's right. Jabindu nodded vigorously. In general, the East is like that, but it's not all, don't grab it all. Because of being satisfied with food, clothing, shelter, they were able to give birth to sages, with rich spiritual activities, with lives filled with humanity, nature and human love, have a pure and peaceful heart. There is no fierce competition in all areas of social life. There is no brain-crushing, forehead-twisting, or trying to pursue profit, productivity, money, or other external purposes of getting rid of false things. Their happiness is within, Robinson, inside. How can there be such a thing as internal happiness if it is not determined by optimal external conditions? It's an illusion, Jabindu, it exists on its own. It's real, Robinson. You cannot understand. Robinson stroked his nose and quipped, when you're stuck, you throw up a metaphysical smoke and run away. Great job. If you have not yet entered the threshold of spiritual life, what you say is like having a dialogue with a deaf person. Call it metaphysical or whatever you want. And I find it very realistic. It's the realest thing, Robinson. Any debate or argument leads to dualism, two sides entrenching two boundaries, this side and that side, inside and outside, physical and mental. The person who develops transformation skills. People who boast hidden inner strength. No one ever gives up. They never sit on the same conversation mat. And then they teased each other, lashed out at each other very harshly, bitterly, but no less interesting and fun. However, Robinson always believes that the West's superiority is due to scientific development, intelligence, and constant searching in creativity. The East is poor and backward, it needs to borrow the West's scientific magic wand. Needs to be civilized. Jabindu said, we don't need your favor, that's stupid, paradoxical civilization. Contemplation and meditation are our true happiness. Although the two sides' views are incompatible, the friendship between them is extremely close. Every time we are apart, we miss each other, like yin and yang. There was a time when the two of them were in close contact with each other. In his last letter, more than 10 years ago, Robinson felt that his friend seemed to have a way out, that there was some very clear path. As for him, the deeper he studied ancient civilizations, the more convincing Jabindu's stubborn, unscientific arguments became. Through the results found on the ashes and ruins of history, whether secret tombstones, hieroglyphic writing or complex signs and symbols of gods, saints, people, objects, Robinson came to a final corollary, the same result. After the flashy martial arts of civilization, in every era, there often exist dark tragedies, dangerous side effects. As well as the truth of contemporary civilization, people today are becoming increasingly mechanical and corrupt. All human values, all moral foundations are crazy and broken. The hearts and souls of the citizens of the subatomic age have become hardened because they have exhausted the rational machine at its maximum capacity. Social evils spread poisonous seeds to youth and future generations. War and terrorism threaten the lives of Earth's inhabitants. People have brutally and mercilessly destroyed nature. The environment of the green planet is polluted, stained and rotten by chemicals and industrial waste. Smoke, dust, germs, viruses, toxic gases, fill space, blood, brains, breath and even the human heart. Isn't all of this called the dreary desolation of nature, of the abyss, of destruction? Current civilization, his pride, the final result will be as tragic, as it has happened in history. Robinson suddenly missed you very much. Jabindu was right. It is true that my friend is a highly evolved person. Transcendent Master. Or Prophets of the Times. The letter contained a vague address, but it was up to Robinson to find it. And he found it. The cliffs and mysterious, wild caves seemed to have no human footprints. Sun, dust, sweat, high slopes, deep abysses, like a cruel, arduous game that wants to test Robinson's will and strength from his mischievous old Oriental friend. Slowly, slowly, Robinson slid deeper and deeper into the caves. Here it is. A figure as thin and dry as a stick was meditating in the dim light. But Robinson still recognized Jabindu's familiar figure. He stood silent for a long time. Could this be the end of survival? Could this be the image of someone who has found eternal peace? In the quiet, stagnant space, time seemed to go back thousands of years. His perception suddenly felt like smoke and mist, fragile and unreal. The non-Pali, non-Sanskrit characters that were densely packed on the cliffs made Robinson understand that Jabindu had understood something very extraordinary here. Perhaps it's a mind training technique left over from an ancient civilization. Then you will know what they say. Jabindu stood up from the darkness, breaking the silence. They are a complex, incomplete mixture of ancient languages, which later became the Prakrit language. I have read them. It turned out to be Buddhist scriptures. If you want to research, you will have relatively clear stamped negatives. Hey Robinson. How are you? The two hugged each other, squeezing tightly. Jabindu guided his friend to a cave with light and lit a lamp made from yak buffalo fat. In a quiet, primitive space. Jabindu treated his civilized friend to rainwater and forest fruits. Now, Robinson could see Jabindu more clearly. His face was crooked, sharp, thin, bony, his hair and beard were sprinkled with salt and pepper, wearing a horseshit-colored cloth rubbed with ochre on his body. Especially the extremely bright eyes, expressing a strong inner vitality. In front of Robinson is the image of a Taoist monk who lived several thousand years ago. Like a fairy tale. Like a legend. Glad you are safe. Robinson read that and opened his mouth with admiration. Jabindu smiled lightly. More than that, Robinson. I no longer have any questions. All minds and hearts have become quiet. Great. Robinson clenched his bony hand and looked deeply into the other person's eyes. In the past, you were right, Jabindu. The monk nodded without any humility, then shook his head again. Now, it's not the logic, even though it's reasonable, but the real thing, Robinson. Robinson believed his friend was telling the truth, but he still didn't know what it was, so he moved forward, looking attentive, and asked, what is it? Is it understanding and knowing, Jabindu? That's not true. The scope of understanding and knowing is very limited. It always has conditions and objects. That understanding and knowing is the past, time and birth and death. Robinson, I may not understand. So is it a state? Even less, Robinson. In any state, no matter how supremely peaceful, they still flow, without any real support, just a fragile convergence of energies. Robinson frowned. So what is it? Jabindu pondered for a moment and then said, no matter what I say it is, both you and I will forever be stuck together, not going out of the category of understanding and knowing. We have been conditioned and limited by it since the beginning of our awareness. The reason I wrote to invite you here is also for the same reason. Having finished speaking, Jabindu walked to the cliff, reached into the gap inside, took out a very ancient painting, caged in a black wooden frame carefully covered with a very smooth goat skin. Dust and spider webs. Clinging. While cleaning the frame, Jabindu talked, my teacher is a true disciple of Maha ± Kassapa, who has maintained his life for more than 2,000 years with the sole purpose of protecting Tripitaka on the cliff. And at the same time waiting for a disciple with the basis for transmitting knowledge and spiritual experience of cultivating. I am the chosen one. Whether you believe or not believe what I just said is irrelevant. The spiritual practice experience I received from my teacher, I passed on to a group of disciples. Right now they are all in seclusion, waiting for the right moment to go to many places. As for staying behind and spreading the scriptures, I will rely on you. I got it. All we have to do is decode this epileptic text, translate it into English or French, print it and circulate it. Although it is difficult, it is not impossible. Our friends include many excellent and enthusiastic scholars. They work very scientifically and seriously. I also believe so. What about this picture? Jabindu set up the painting in the place with the most light. Is the painting almost symbolic, impressionistic or surreal? It looks very ancient but also very modern. It's hard to know the material of the paper. The colored ink seems to be carved from jade. As for the content, they are hidden, sparkling in many colors with many mixed images that are very difficult to feel. Very difficult to understand. What is it? Robinson couldn't help but ask. Jabindu smiled like a lotus opening its pistil. If it is anything, we will be stuck in the place of understanding and will lose it. Robinson laughed. Then I won't ask anymore, just listen, Jabindu said slowly. My teacher did not say who the author of this painting is, but he kept it as a treasure. It is said that it was written by an unknown artist monk. In a state of ecstatic meditation, he created that masterpiece. All its meanings lie deeply hidden behind every line and every symbolic color. The painting must be facing east. It is only the light and positive energy of the sun that shines and impacts that the colors of the jade types glow and show the correct shade. Exactly what the painting wants to say. And what if no, the painting is just a beautiful, ancient and precious painting, that's all. You can sell it for several $1 million, Jabindu is witty. They both laughed. After that, Jabindu kept quiet to let Robinson carefully look at the painting, and also let him freely feel, freely imagine. Time passed. Robinson said, that's strange. When I thought it was a landscape painting, it appeared to be a landscape painting. A wonderful landscape, seemingly unreal in the world, some kind of magical scene, with Apsara girls and flowers and silk with their fluttering, graceful, gentle dances in their timeless songs. Same purity. It is pure, down to every grain of dust and dew. When I thought it was a religious symbol, I saw countless Buddhas and saints among the 5-colored clouds, on lotus thrones. All is quiet, pure and immaculate, that's right. Jabindu continued, there is more, there is more. Whatever we think, it will appear like that, exactly as our mind and imagination draw. Hundreds, thousands of scenes, but still not finished, not enough. However, all of them are just illusions. Things that we imagine. As for the real thing, the painting must be facing east. Then, just keep looking, I don't know how long it will take, at some point, in some coincidence, the real thing will appear, exactly as it is. Robinson pondered for a long time, wondering, I believe your words. But what is that reality for? What use is it to me, Jabindu? Then you won't have any more questions. You will open up all deadlocks and go beyond the scope of understanding and knowing. Robinson thought to himself, the current information technology civilization, based on symbols and codes that create countless virtual activities, will fall into an abyss, that's for sure. The search of the subatomic age is also confused and at a dead end. Particles or waves are just energy. Science is still confused about what the ultimate entity is. The last fulcrum of humanity is still unknown. But now, here, in this ancient space, my friend's peace is clearly a fact that does not need to be discussed or explained. Jabindu grabbed his friend's shoulders tightly and shook him hard. Take this painting to the west, Robinson. With only one requirement, the painting must be facing east. That is my wish as a way to repay my old friendship, and at the same time, to express my gratitude to you in the arduous work of classics in the future. He took a light breath and continued, after handing over the painting, I had nothing more to do in this life. Hopefully, you will be at peace. This may be goodbye, Robinson, not in a hurry to say goodbye. Lingering for several days, Robinson sadly walked away. As the plane climbed to a high altitude, looking down at the endless, wild mountains, clouds, snow and smog, Robinson still did not believe that in the 21st century, there were still wise men in the world. Hiding, completely rejecting the light of civilization, living peacefully and freely with the pure needs of a wild bird, seemingly without any material requirements. The so-called pure spiritual life is not mythical and unreal. Once in a luxurious villa with the most modern amenities in Los Angeles, Robinson also felt like he had returned from thousands of years of history. The first thing he did was quickly open the mysterious picture and check to see if what had just happened was real or a dream. The painting can be touched and is real. But Jabindu's last words are true last words with wings and fire. They contain the inner power of cultivation and many hidden meanings. Translating the entire Tripitaka is a long-term project, but not urgent. Finding a suitable location to honor the painting was important. He could not disappoint Jabindu. Again, it is your own piece, carrying the painting into the study room. Robinson looked towards the sun and admired it. For a while, he walked forward, stepped back, looked at each window, looked at the neighboring rooms, looked out at the garden. After a while, he took out the compass to look, measure, calculate. Robinson suddenly thought. Very long. He seemed pensive, motionless. For 2 days, Robinson did not want to eat or sleep. He seemed to be in a state that was neither awake nor unconscious. On the 3rd day, Robinson got up, took his phone and booked a plane back to Nepal. It seemed that Jabindu knew in advance what would happen, so this time he welcomed you from the foot of the mountain with a very strange smile. Jabindu helps you step by step, friendly, considerate. But Robinson is very impatient. Impossible, Jabindu, what do you say is impossible? The painting you gave me cannot be hung anywhere. Why? Waiting until he returned to the cave, Robinson clearly stated the reason. Hey, Jabindu. First, entering the study room, I aimed towards the east to enhance the painting. If you want to be accurate, you need a compass. If the direction is east, the study room must be facing an angle of nearly 30 degrees. It's okay, it's okay. But if the book room is redesigned, the bedroom, kitchen, study room, living room, dining room, must completely change and have to be redrawn. If it cost $500,000 to do it, it would be worth it. Seeing the real thing at that price is too cheap. However, when I looked out into the garden, I was truly confused and frightened. If the entire direction of the house changes, the garden must also change. Changing your garden can make sacrifices, but what if it affects neighboring houses and gardens? Is it possible to negotiate with them? Very difficult. But what's more difficult is that the road ahead, the main entrance to the city, will turn strange. The mayor, the board of architects, the planners, and the people, no one would allow an abnormal person or a psychopath to do that crazy thing. Thinking for a moment, Robinson continued, the more I think, the more shocked I am, Jabindu. If I could hang a painting facing the east, I would have to change the whole city of Los Angeles. Jabindu seemed surprised. Is it that terrible? Not yet, Jabindu. If the city of Los Angeles changes, the freeways, boulevards, and expressways of the north, south, east, and west must all change. Accordingly, the entire United States must change. Jabindu nodded, frowned. That's true, not yet, Jabindu. When the map of America is redrawn, the airports, stations, and train stations will find other more suitable places. And so the chaos will be like a plate of lobster soup. America will have war. World of war, economic war, trade war, oil war, construction war, war of tricks, deceit and deceit. In short, want to hang the painting in the right direction. This devilish painting must change the world. Robinson sighed, raised both hands to the sky as if surrendering and giving up. Then, respectfully returned the painting to Jabindu. This precious gift, I have no fate. Please return it to the original owner. Jabindu nonchalantly placed his hand on the painting, looked straight into Robinson's eyes, and spoke solemnly. The same is true of seeing, Robinson. The view that changes the world, changes the entire world. That seeing, how? It's a change of perspective. It transcends the categories of understanding and knowing. It is wisdom. The view of wisdom. Robinson's eyes widened, bewildered with question marks at the end of the horizon. Jabindu's voice from the vacuum of ideas, still calm and warm, poured gently into the ear. It is thoughts, ideas and consciousness that are the culprits that make our view distorted and crazy. Our understanding and knowledge of the world. Human life, from there also arise partial errors. Philosophy, systems of thought, ideologies, from past to present have made subjective, self-centered judgments, have pushed humanity to conflict, internecine destruction and mutual destruction. The civilization of carrots, flour, information, electronics, prices virtual treatment, cannot resolve the torment, suffering, and turmoil of the human spirit. We must turn our gaze inward, Robinson. We must change that gaze, a look that is clear, transparent, unconditioned. New, without analysis, explanation, without being enslaved by thoughts or ideas. And stay awake, Robinson. Robinson seemed thoughtful, but still clearly heard Jabindu's words echoing in the depths of the cave, as if outside spacetime, the entire world in your mind is a product of past knowledge. It's old. Smoked. Has turned yellow. Already dead. If you don't dare to change the world, you will never have that free, enlightened, and pristine view, Robinson.
Thank you for spending your valuable time on my channel journey to enlightenment. Wishing you a very peaceful and happy day. Don't forget to click like and subscribe to my support channel. See you in the next video.